Hello, everyone. I am doing a very somewhat impromptu. Thought about it a little bit last night. Thought about it more today. Little post-mortem of the game last week, and I want to talk about some of the stuff that I'm doing for planning, as well as some of the stuff that's going on for this channel. Um, I realize that most people who would probably watch Dungeons and Dragons are probably not watching this right now, and that's completely okay. The benefit of Twitch is there's video on demand. Um, Yes. This is something that will never contain spoilers because I encourage my players to watch this when I do this at a regularly scheduled time, which will probably be on Tuesday evenings around 9 p.m. But today's a really weird week because I have off for like 6 days. I'm taking a little bit of R&R from work and just working on stuff for the stream. Plus, the book itself for Ghost of Saltmarsh came out and was delivered with a bonus uh, to me yesterday. So there's that. But I'll talk about that in a second. And trying to get some stuff taken care of for Sea of Thieves, which is what I usually stream Monday through Friday. So let me bring up this little thing right here. Awesome. Um, so let's go ahead and dive on into the autopsy, right? Uh, so uh, for a day zero campaign, it's always interesting to try to figure out what you're going to do as a DM and as players. Now, the players and I have never really personally met, but we've met online, and I have watched them play from time and time again on other different shows and channels for other different games. So I already kind of knew who these people were, and I was very intrigued to see what they were going to do for their characters. Now, um, that being said, we've had a lot of prep going into this. The players have spent a lot of time figuring out what they were going to play and what the player was going or what the character was going to be like. And I, spent a lot of time going back and forth between probably about 9 different one shots versus even doing just a homebrew one shot that I would piece together on Roll20 for our day zero. I wanted something nautical themed because I know there's a lot of nautical stuff for Ghost of Saltmarsh. I also wanted something that would kind of give the players a chance to test combat in some pretty dire situations. So I eventually settled on it was the weekly release for the free RPG, and I modified it. I modified the crap out of it. I think all that I really used was the island, a little bit of the plot hook, and how they ended up on the island, and then beyond that, I kind of turned it into my own. I think that as a dungeon master, the ability to do things like that is kind of what is our biggest tool in our toolbox, if not the entire toolbox, because we constantly have the understanding that we will have things planned out and the players will do something that's going to break that plan. So it's often best to have multiple layers of things figured out. So I gave the players an opportunity to experience a little bit of life on the ship, not much. I want that to be more rolled out based on what I was waiting to see, which was the book itself, so I could look at the rules that were being released officially, so I don't mess with canon. Because then you get into the really messed up issue of, well, we did this before, and then it turns into, well, we've did that before, but now it's something different. So I kind of limited the amount of time on the ship. I didn't want them to have to be involved in the rigging, any combat on the ship. I wanted them to be more involved of ship life and see if they were willing to help move cargo to avoid the ship from sinking and spotting and things that most people would be able to do without having any seafaring knowledge. Now, a couple of the players do have background to where they understand life on the sea, and that's going to come in very beneficial as they progress through Ghost of the Saltmarsh. Now, I want to take a quick step back and talk about Ghost of the Saltmarsh for a second. Now, this is not a complete campaign, right? If you are new to Dungeons and Dragons, if you have just now heard of Ghost of the Saltmarsh, if you're not sure what I mean by this, I want to explain a little bit. So a while back, they released a book called The Yawning Portal, and what that was it was a recanting of some older original games from different versions of Dungeons and Dragons. They reskinned them basically, and these campaigns these stories can work together, but they absolutely positively don't need to. They can be pulled in as one shots, as campaign arcs, as things for the other campaigns. They even have a list in the book of things that each of these chapters could be used and adjacent to another campaign. Now, when most DMs and most players think of campaigns, they think of things like Horde of the Dragon Queen, Tyranny of Dragons. What is it? There's the giant one. I've got all of them over here. Storm King's Thunder, Tomb of Annihilation, Princes of Apocalypse, Curse of Strahd, things like that. And this is definitely not one, but you can, with a little bit of time and ingenuity, make a cohesive storyline to get your players all the way from level 1 through level 12 using just this book. It does introduce some new core rules. So this is going to be a truer test of, I guess, weaving a story where one currently doesn't exist. So it's a lot of out of the box, out of can thinking when it comes to what makes a story, and it's going to give DMs an opportunity who are trying to do this to make the character story more personal and more upfront than the underlying theme. You know, we need to take down the big bad dragon and destroy them so that way we can save the world. This is more of a chance to say there's a bunch of these little things that are somewhat related, and how we're going to relate them is based on how you guys as players interact with this world. So my phone is blowing up. This is adorable. I just want to put that out there that this is not a cohesive campaign, start to finish, soup to nuts. We've got everything we need. There's going to be a lot of time that I'm going to have to weave some things together to make it work. And I take a lot of joy in that. I am totally looking forward to having the opportunity of letting the story be driven by the characters. I'm implementing some things that are not from the book that are going to kind of shift how they've arrived to where they are, and that's namely a patron. But we'll talk about that in planning. So back to the autopsy. So I did Crow's Rest Island, and the bulk of the story was basically just it was follow the white crow. It's the typical white rabbit trope. Follow it, a couple rounds of combat, and then what they were supposed to do was fight six more things at the very end, and that was supposed to be the end of it. And then they were able to make their way back to their ship and fight the storm and leave. But I wanted to add something to their background. I wanted to add something to their toolbox, some little boon of efficiency for them. So I made it to where the island was a lot more mysterious. I made it to where there was some kind of spell that was encapsulating this island itself, that it was rumored, uncharted, appears, disappears. Sailors have heard of it. They weren't 100% sure. So thinking about that vein and thinking along those lines, I decided to make it to where there was a necklace that was entrapping the raven, and it was protecting the island in a way from all the evil. And that when that necklace was removed, which was a percentile die roll, and they wound up getting it when they got it instead of earlier or later, that what happened was it would release this ice Mifit that they would have to fight. And Mifits are a lot of fun, but I kind of dulled this one down a little bit because I think if I would have played the full Mifit, that it would have probably caused an unnecessary TPK with level 1 characters. It's a little bit of a stretch for the 5 of them, and they were already pretty beaten up. And the big thing that happened at the end with the explosion, that was 100% chance. I said I needed a roll greater than a 75 to make that explosion happen, and I rolled a 98. So where the dice had been in the player's favor throughout the entire fight, it was not in their favor at the end game of the fight. But they got some really cool treasure. They were able to get some of the weapons that I wanted to give them early on. They have a fair amount of gold, which will probably help them out quite a bit when it comes to things in Saltmarsh, because the economy of Saltmarsh is a little bit different than what I think most were ready for. And they were able to dispel the curse of the island, and the snow stopped and spring came, and they were able to make it back to the boat. And they have since set sail, and they have continued along their way to Saltmarsh. So let's talk a little bit more about, as a DM, from my side of the screen, how do I think things went? I think that the players did an outstanding job of handling the situation in totality. I think from the very small things, they did a great job. I introduced for them the idea that I'm a DM that likes to throw traps. I'm a DM that likes to make sure that when things are not so 100% warm and fuzzy, that maybe having somebody check for traps is a good thing. That maybe spending a little bit of time and doing some perception is another. I didn't want them to get complacent with the moving through the woods. And I love the fact that they were very honed in on capturing slash killing the crow. When the crow was the guide to get through everything and was giving them warnings through its flight patterns. Probably could have been a little bit more descriptive on that, and that's okay. But it is what it is. So I really liked how they handled the fight. But the biggest thing that I think is going to become a thing throughout this entire campaign is the fun competitive side that the players introduced themselves. With the swashbuckling, with the I want to engrave my name, with all of these things, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out over time. I think that it was really hard not to just break down laughing some of the times because it was just so ingenious and so genuine that it was just tickling the cockles of my DM heart to see that these players, and some of them have played together before, but to see these players just meld the way that they have and to jump right into it was fantastic. It was beyond amazing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that internal playful competition winds up taking place. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So it was a good day zero. We had a decent turnout. We had some tech issues at the very beginning that were all behind the screen on my side. It's the disadvantage of being used to hosting a table game and not being used to hosting a virtual game. So I've got a little bit of work to do on my side to kind of clean some things up and figure that all out, just to make it a better experience for the viewers and for the players as well. Especially since we have to do a lot of changes this week. It's going to be another early start for us, but hopefully an on-time start for you all. I had the players be ready for a call in. I think it was like 45 minutes prior. So that way I had time to get all the boxes and stuff set up and to test everything on the tech side. And even then I was pushing the needle at the very end. But I do know that once I get things running, it will be a lot easier on us, on our side. Because the whole thing for us is that we're still going to play the game regardless of technology. But we want to make sure that the viewing experience for the viewers, for the followers, the subscribers, the bit donators, all that stuff is something that is enjoyable. We'll make sure that you're getting as much out of the content as we are pouring into it. So, but for day zero, I'm happy with it. I'm stoked. I thought it went really well. I was on a bit of a high for a few hours afterwards, which made getting up the next morning less than pleasant. So, my autopsies normally will be about a half hour long. And then I'll always transition into planning and talk about some of the things that I'm working on. Again, this is a very, very different type of post-mortem and prep video than what I would normally do. Normally, it's I've got notes and things along those lines. I really just had this idea the other day, and I thought about it, and I decided this afternoon, why not just jump in and do it? Looks like Sea of Thieves is back up, so I'll probably be playing that tonight. So I wanted to get this out there for the players and for the viewers to be able to watch on video on demand. So that's it for this autopsy. Again, the autopsies are normally a little bit longer, and when I do it at a more scheduled time, there's usually a lot more interaction. So I always encourage questions in chat. These are from players, these are from viewers, these are from people who haven't watched anything and just want some insight. The only rule that I have is no spoilers, because I often, like I said, I do encourage my players to watch and to partake in these when they are at the normally scheduled time. So I don't want to give out spoilers, because I don't think that the players would be able to handle the spoilers, but because I want them to experience it as something new when it does happen. So that will be the end of the autopsy portion of this video, but that doesn't mean that if you join at the end of this that you can't ask me questions. The questions are always open. Just type them in chat. So now let's transition over to planning and prep. All right, so I needed to wait for a few things to come out about Ghost of Saltmarsh to figure some things out. And the entire premise behind how these players are ending up in Saltmarsh is that they all have known each other for a little bit. They were looking for work. They met in a tavern, dispensed with the trope, and decided not to roleplay that. And they were hired from afar to set sail to a town called Saltmarsh. And they are going to be meeting their soon-to-be patron for all things when they arrive in Saltmarsh. And I decided, since there was not a lot of guidance given in the book itself as for something like this, and I wasn't expecting there was, I just wanted to see how the politics of the town played out, that I am going to assume that this takes place after the awesomeness of Waterdeep Dragon Heist and Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and I am going to be using my Wednesday night character Varus Nightbreeze as their patron. I'm going to, and even if he dies in that Wednesday, the campaign that he's in, it will just be a fork in space time. That's the liberty that we are allowed to take. So I'm going to say that he has retired to a seaside town to live out the remainder of his days in rough solitude. Not rough as in, living in a shack and nothing more than a hermit, but just some kind of solitude away from things, away from the things that drove him away from his home in the first place. So, they're going to be meeting Varus Nightbreeze. He's going to be their patron. He's going to put them up, and he's going to start them down the amazing path that seems to be pretty well laid out for the first chapter for Ghost of Saltmarsh. I have been able to go ahead and get things set up on Roll20. It took me a little bit of time just because life is life. I got a lot going on around the house. Again, I'm taking some R&R just because work has, it's gotten to me, and I just need to take some time off and just decompress for a little while. And so I've purposefully been vegging out, been playing video games and things all this time, and trying to spend some time with my kids, but it's so damn hot that we haven't been able to do that. But I was able to get Roll20 up and running. That invite went out to the players this morning. I'm going to give them some details about their patron, because I can rattle it off the top of my head, and we'll get things underway for you guys this upcoming week. Now, to talk a little bit about the channel, because this is where the prep comes in. So my follower count is currently at 76. I have already crested over the 60 for the giveaway, which is listed down below. And that is something that we are doing on Saturday. I've long made the promise to the viewers and to myself that if we hit 80 followers by Friday night, anytime Friday night, to where I can just at least have time to realize it before I start posting on social media, that I'll do the 80 giveaway as well. One of the other really interesting things that happened is I will show you. So I ordered Ghost of Saltmarsh as a pre-order forever ago. I think the day that it was launched on Amazon. So I went ahead and I got Ghost of Saltmarsh in the mail yesterday. However, in the box, there's a second copy. So what does this mean for you guys? Well, that means that at some point I'm going to be giving away a copy of the actual book itself, because I have no need to hold on to two books. It was a gift to me. I contacted Amazon, and they were fantastic about it. They said, keep it, it's yours. So I'm keeping it. It's mine. And since it's mine, I can give it away. So at some point after the 80 followers, probably before the 100 followers, it depends on how fast my channel grows, I will be giving away a copy of Ghost of Saltmarsh during one of the streams, and I'll announce it before we go live. I'll talk about it on social media. So if you're watching this on video on demand, check me out on Twitter. I always post the day of, right before, as we go live, and usually right after we've ended. I also post my schedule pretty regularly, or at least I'm getting into posting my schedule. I'm trying to do this whole Twitch thing. It's a lot of fun, but it's just a lot to figure out. So at bare minimum, I will be giving away a starter set for Dungeons & Dragons, and that's the 5e starter set with the Lost Mines. I will be giving away a set of limited edition Ogopogo gaming dice. It's the full polyhedral set, so all 7 dice with a D2 coin and a 10 with a certificate of authenticity. This is the Blood and Steel dice from Ogopogo Gaming, for which they are only selling 774 sets out of the 1,000 they made. They scrapped the ones that didn't make it. Beautiful dice. I have yet to pull out the dice bag from my storage right over there, just because I'm sometimes lazy. But I do have the keychain holder that matches what the dice bag looks like. I'll be giving away a dice bag that kind of looks like this. It has a really cool red dragon's eye. It's got the faux leather dragon skin. And those are the things that I'm giving away for the 60. Again, if we hit 80, then I'll be giving away 2 of each of those, as well as a copy of Art and Arcana. I have been pushing myself to get to 100 followers for my own personal reasons. I know that's a pretty low number in Twitch world, but it's a big number to me. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to doing at least the 60, hoping to do the 60 and the 80. Would be blown away if I did the 60, 80, and the 100 follower giveaway. But we'll at least be doing the 60, if not the 60 and the 80 on Saturday. We should be starting around 8 p.m. The players and I have been chatting off and on in Discord, so we're already excited. There was already a pretty general feeling on Sunday and Monday that people wanted to play again right away. So that made me feel good as a DM. I did receive a few DMs on Twitch and Discord, as well as Twitter. And I appreciate those of you that were commenting as I was streaming or shortly thereafter, and let me know how you thought that I did. I really do appreciate that, because I think one of the hardest things about a DM is that you never know how well you're doing until somebody tells you. And then there's the times where you hear it from your players, which means the world. And then there's times where you hear it from other people, and they just reach out and say, hey, you know, like you did a really awesome job tonight. Like on the spot DMing, it was fantastic. It makes you feel really good as a DM. It makes you realize that the time that you've poured into this to get ready has been more than worth it, and it has paid off in spades. So thank you to those that have done that. I will never, ever not appreciate that, because that's huge. Just to take the time out of your day just to let me know how you think I'm doing. I'm also not afraid of the criticism. There was a couple people who brought some things up that I did incorrect, and you know that they were right. They're 100% right, and I'll learn from that, and I'll do better going forward. I mean, that's how I think DMs are supposed to work. But so far, that's where we are at. We had a phenomenal day 0. It went far better than I thought it could, and that was 100% thanks to the awesomeness of the players. So we are definitely looking forward to this week's game, and it's one of those things that we can't wait for to get here. We get stressed out right before it happens. We'll go through it, and then we'll look back on it and just breathe a giant sigh of relief. So with that, it's a very short video today, and again, I apologize. Normally, and I'm going to put this on my schedule down below on Twitch, so you guys should probably see it in the next couple days once I've nailed down the time. But it's probably going to be at like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock on Tuesdays. I'm going to do this post-mortem and planning and prep every single week, the week after we've had a game. We have some weeks that we're not going to have games just because we already know of conflicts, so that's okay. But it's probably going to be on Tuesdays. I don't think I'm going to do Mondays. I want time for myself more to process how the game went before I open my mouth and start talking about it. So probably Tuesdays. And yeah, Saturdays are a thing, and we're loving it. Thank you for those who are watching this now. Thank you so much to those who will watch this on video on demand. Look forward to seeing you guys on Saturdays. Catch me Monday through Fridays, usually playing Sea of Thieves. And chat with me. Let me know how things are going. Feel free to drop a follow. And yeah, thank you so much for everything. So I will talk to you guys again later today when I play Sea of Thieves, and tomorrow when I play Sea of Thieves. And then that brings us to Saturday, where I play Dungeons and Dragons. All right, y'all. Have a good one. Take it easy. Hold fast. I'm probably going to raid somebody just because I really like doing that. So anyway, take it easy. I'll talk to y'all later.